This video outlines my stealing yards concept. In simple terms, the concept is being able to move the ball from deeper areas to higher areas and doing it in such a way that it's not completely obvious to the opposition. I've set up a red team that we're working with in a 1-4-3-3. It doesn't really matter what formation they're in, but this is just a representative example. I've also included a defensive four in the opposition, just to highlight where the back line is and how that moves in relation to how we move the ball. If we think about building attacking play as two types of start positions, start point one, which is deeper, in this instance we have the goalkeeper with the ball, and start point two is higher up the field. And if we can use the halfway line as a guide, or the midfield third. So what we want to try and do is we want to try and move the ball from deeper, start point one, to then get as many of our players in the opposition half in an ideal situation as a start point two, and that's where we can really go to work with attacking plays, sequences, rotations, combinations, whatever you work on as a coach, but it's closer to the goal. So if we go back to our situation in deeper areas, we can see the goalkeeper has the ball. We get into a playing out from the back standard setup that you may see across the game at a lot of levels. We've moved the ball to the right hand side central defender, the red 4 in this instance. Now, I will have done previous videos on the 1-2-3 concept that link to this, but in simple terms, just to reiterate here, when we're in possession, the number 1 player is the player that's on the ball. The number 2 players are those that are around the number 1 that could receive a short or shortish pass to link play. And then the number 3s are away from the ball, and that's everyone else. So when we think about the stealing yards concept, essentially we're focusing on the number 3s that can benefit from this. So we've moved the ball to the right hand side of central defender, who's then moved the ball onto the right full back or outside back, the red 2. When we spoke about the 1-2-3 rule, we kind of highlighted this area as 1s and 2s and these areas as number 3s. If we think about the furthest players away from the ball, they're going to be over this side of the field. And essentially the stealing yards concept is when you are in that position where you're number 3 away from the ball, can you move forward? And what we call steal yards. And the reason why is because the focus is on the player on the ball. So you've seen the back line drop slightly. So now what we've got is a situation where the back line have dropped deeper because we've moved the ball from a deep position to a higher position. And we've seen that that's dropped the defensive line deeper, which allows us to move higher. So we can see we've got players that are number 2s around the ball that are going to support, not necessarily needing to move forward, but it's these players here that are away from the ball that we can now start to steal yards just by moving forward. And we don't have to be prescriptive about the distance, we just have to think about moving forward and gaining ground and getting closer to the opponent's goal. And then what we try and do is we just try and create phases of moving the ball from one area to another area to move the defensive line deeper and deeper and deeper. That allows our players that are furthest away from the ball at any given moment to steal yards, to move forward. So we've moved the ball into the red 6. Then across to the red 5, who's now shifted higher up the field versus their teammate, right central defender, who initially started the play. And that encourages the opposition defensive line. Remember, it's this deepest line we're looking at because of offsides, etc. That drops slightly deeper again. So we've now gone from moving the ball from the goalkeeper to the right hand side into midfield and across to our left hand central defender. Again, just an example of how the ball can progress and move laterally across the field. And we've moved the opposition defensive line from the halfway line now deeper towards their own goal. Again, we have players that are around the balls, number 2s that are engaging, looking to be an option to link play. But this allows the players away from the ball to steal yards and move up the field. Again, we progress the ball to the left-hand side. And then we see another shift in the back line, dropping deeper again. We've players that are around the ball. And then we can shift higher up the field. So again, looking at that shift as the ball goes to the left-hand side, where we can then steal yards. So you can start to see how this picture unfolds of how we've progressed from the goalkeeper in the first instance now towards our target area of our second start position. Again, an example, we move it into the holding midfield player, the red 6, we get another drop from the defensive line. Goes back, no issues there. It's then switched a bit longer to the right hand side. And again, we get another shift. So you can see that by focusing and using our 1-2-3 principle of players understanding who they are in terms of their number at any given moment, especially the number 3s, and being furthest away from the ball when we're in possession, how by shifting forward up the field, how you can steal yards away from the opposition, because the focus is always going to be from players a lot of the time on where the ball is and looking at the ball, and that gives your teammates an opportunity to be able to move forward and steal yards.